moved. 2.02 is a Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. 2.03, adoption of the agenda. It is recommended that the agenda for June 12, 2024, regular meeting of the Board of School Trustees be adopted as presented.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. 3, recognition. 3.01, recognition of Mr. Tom Irons. Mr. Hubbard.
President Parks, Dr. Stevens, School Board, this is a very, very special night. Tonight, we would like to recognize an incredibly generous man who's helped take Mishawaka schools to the next level. His recent gift is one of many that he's given through the years, and we'll outline those in just a few minutes. Tom Irons is a 1969 Mishawaka grad. He started ASA Electronics in 1977. They started supplying in the van industry, and then they adjusted in other areas of business as needed. His company supplies names like John Deere, Case New Holland, Bobcat, Caterpillar, Harley-Davidson, among others. They supply audio and video systems and are one of the top suppliers of the RV industry. Tom came to Mishawaka from Alabama, where his parents were cotton farmers. He often credits our city, especially the school system, for giving him amazing opportunities. He attended Battelle Elementary, Maine Junior High, and Mishawaka High School. Tom told me in an interview in 2018, let's give back. Let's make the community a better place, and I think I owe Mishawaka so much. It's the least I can do. Since that time, he's donated hundreds of thousands of dollars for improvements at MHS. He was the primary donor for our Iron Strength and Conditioning Center, and he helped for the funding of the new track at Steele Stadium. And each year, he's donated funds for academics and athletics. In recent years, he's helped with the new baseball and softball batting cages, equipment for football, track, swimming, cheer, cross country, and tennis. He was responsible for the strength and conditioning room at John Young Middle School. He purchased our baseball and softball batting cages, the golf simulator, that amazing flag that hangs from the cave, the rafters, and the new shooting machine for boys and girls basketball. And he's left his mark with the dugouts for soccer. And if you see the big caveman logo on the wrestling mat, that's his doing. In fact, his donation this year, Mr. Irons will help us with a portable wrestling mat that can be used for the Al Smith Invitational. That way we don't have to borrow a portable wrestling mat from another school. And he also is helping us with a new indoor putting green. Among other things, new practice surface for the wrestling room, so the old wrestling room downstairs will look like new. He's going to be helping the athletic department with sending our cheerleaders to UCA cheer camp. Equipment from elementary athletics, expenses for the MHS 100 throwback game and the MHS Athletics Hall of Fame next year. And he'll be helping out football with operating expenses. His funds will send many of our coaches to coaches clinics. Not to mention, he's helping boys and girls basketball with Club One and camp coordinators. All these items went through the guy who's smiling really big right here, the athletic director of athletics, Mark Paulsgrove, and he's here tonight. And he's communicated with all of our Mishawaka high school coaches to make these things happen. In all, for the 24-25 school year, Tom Irons and his wife Jennifer, through the Irons Foundation, will donate $100,000 to celebrate the MHS 100 and the 100th anniversary of Mishawaka High School. $50,000 of that will be for athletics that I've just outlined, and another $50,000 for MHS educational classroom grants. Now, I've gone through those athletic part of things, and at this time, I'd like to bring up Tom's classmate, Victoria Mayon. And Victoria has been working tirelessly this past year for the Irons Foundation to help fill needs that have been brought to our attention with grant requests in the classroom and at the school. Victoria, here you go. It's your turn.
Well, I think Dean just shared with you a lot of the highlights that I was going to mention. But, you know, when you think of a birthday and a party and 100, you go to a birthday party, you take a gift. How many times would you ever think somebody would come and give Mishawaka High School a birthday present in the amount of $100,000? Tom did it. And as Dean said, $50,000 for sports and $50,000 for the educational. And when we look at the grants, one of the things that Tom's very focused on is needs. What do they need to help the students, help the teachers? And that's where we really focus on. In the past year, we had over $140,000 that came in for the educational side of grants. And we had $50,000 to do the fishes and the lobes trick. And when we interviewed the teachers and we looked at the grant applications, Tom kept saying, what can we do? How can we stretch this to make it work? And going back and talking to the staff, I said, if we can't give you all of your grant, will something help? And they were also gracious to have the opportunity, one, and so willing to work with us. Well, with that, we had 20 grants applied for, and we awarded 13. And among that was the All Told. The All Told, in case you didn't know, has not been in print because of pandemic, and they haven't been able to go out and fundraise. So next year, the All Told will be back in print for 4 editions, and this will allow them the following year to fundraise and get sponsors for the All Told. But could you think of a year not to have an All Told when we have this big celebration? Some of the other things that we had, Caleb needed music stands. World Languages had a new software that they felt would be very instrumental in helping the language departments. Family Science. Now, when I went to school, it was called home ec. So you can tell how far the pendulum has swung. But they wanted food processors from KitchenAid and blenders, so we were able to fund that. We also had a great need in our science department. The microscopes should have been put in the trash probably many years ago, and they've been puddling along with them. So hopefully they're all in the trash now, because 24 microscopes were delivered before the end of school. And I was told by Chad and the staff, the kids were thrilled to actually see it. You know, they heard they were coming, but they could actually see something that worked. So that was exciting. And then another item that really perplexed us, no cell phones in classes next year, which is, I think, a great thing. But what do we do with students that use their cameras for photography? What are we going to do? And the photography department is so active. The kids use it to enter contests, scholarship funding. And Tom said, you know, we've got to make this work. So they're going to have cameras. Ben Modlin said, you know, I really need some work tables badly. I need storage cabinets with locks. So we made that work. It's interesting, in the music department, the students can take some college classes for credits, but they needed a stereo CD system, so we were able to do that. We had, math and computer science. I don't know when the word Lego is mentioned to you, but when I think of Lego, the first thing comes is ouch, because I remember walking across our living room when the grandkids would leave them as tokens of a remembrance, and I'm like, oh, and I'm like reading that application, I'm like, Legos? Aren't we in high school? Are we reverting back? Where's this going? Well, Gina came in to share with Tom and I that day about the Lego Prime system. Incredible. She was a cheerleader. I'm going to tell you, if Lego only knew how that teacher could sell a product, they would hire her. So that was incredible of what that will give to those students in computer science for next year. So we were delighted that we could do that. One One of the other things we had on the list was the robotic sponsorship. Tom has been so gracious over the years to continue with that sponsorship. And Chad also asked if we had any funding and we could help with some signage. Coming into the high school, it certainly has grown in space since I went there. Sometimes they have to navigate me through the halls. I get to main office, I know where I am. But it's difficult with freshman students, guests coming in, to really know where are you going, how are you getting there, and how do you get out? So we're hoping to fund that. That gives you just a little bit of an idea of what the educational side has done this past year. And last fall, Tom was able to do 25 digital drawing tablets for the digital arts program. We had a teacher that was ready to teach the class, but we didn't have the funding for those. So he pitched in last fall and did those. They finally arrived sometime after the first of the year. But we changed the funding concept this year so that rather than it be a December deadline and teachers are busy, school's out, holidays, Tom said, why don't we go for the 24 season and have it so we grant everything in May, that the students and the teachers will be up and running when school starts. So that's been a great accomplishment for the teachers. So they'll be ready to go when school starts. So that's what I've done on the educational side, and it's been a delight to work with the teachers and Chad and his staff. So thank you.
Thank you.
So it's okay with you. We'd like to do a check presentation in just a moment, but since we have Mr. Irons here, he'd like to say a few things about his foundation.
All right, before I get into that, I'd like to say, Dean, you know, I've worked with you now, what have we been, 9 years or 10 years? Yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed it immensely. Obviously, I mean, the athletic equipment, I think I was sharing with you a little earlier and how we didn't have the money to buy all the stuff I wanted as a ball player when I was a kid. So I am getting a little bit of a vicarious thrill out of this whole thing, right? Buying all this stuff for these kids. But hopefully it does give them an edge. But, you know, I've loved working with him, his enthusiasm and drive and love for Mishawaka is crazy. That young lady over there, Vic. So I got her recruited. I've done two class reunions, okay, and I saw her game putting those things together, and I thought, that's why, Chad, I sicked her on you, because I knew she was going to be high energy and she was going to be very detail oriented, and she's been every bit of that, I think, huh? Right. So I want to thank both of you guys for everything that you've done to help make these programs. I think we've squeezed it. I think they've bought things at the right prices, and I think we've got the best bang for our buck here. Just a couple more minutes. I started my foundation in '97. And we've picked up a lot of steam over the last few years. It's all self-funded. I don't go outside and get any donations. We support about 30 area charities that are based in Elkhart County and St. Joe County. So that's primarily what we do. Not a whole lot on the national front. A couple things that we're doing new. I don't know if many of you have heard of the Cultivate Food Rescue. Probably the best idea I've heard in philanthropy and since I've been in it, because it's all taking waste and making meals out of it. It's great. So we co-sponsored that. They're setting up an Elkhart facility. They'll basically take food that's going to get thrown out, quickly bring it back, make it into meals, freeze it, and then give it to kids with the specialized backpacks. The other thing that we're doing just the last couple of years is we're hearing the food pantries have not been getting really any meat from the USDA now for probably a couple of years. So we stepped in. We're buying local steers from local farmers. We're having them processed, and we have various pantries from Elkhart, St. Joe County that come and pick up and supplement these people with their meat and their protein. And the Mishawaka pantry is also one that we deliver to. So if I get this thing right, I'm putting together a multi-generational board, and hopefully get a little emotional that we can keep this thing going long after I'm pushing up daisies is basically the plan. So that's really what I'm working for today. Just to conclude, I love this town. I wouldn't trade the time that I grew up and the place that I grew up for anything, as it means that much to me. I still do annual boys trips with 3 other Mishawaka grads, and we've been all over Europe and all over the United States. So those friendships that I made here, well, some of them are still flourishing way after I left. So I think that's about enough of me. That's what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to. I was Friday night, I got to tell you, because this is where I really get my payback when I hear stuff like this. But I had the Fisher boys and Connor Addison, right, and at the Football Hall of Fame induction for Ross Perry. Those kids were great. So they find out that I'm the guy that, with the weight, and then it was like, well, Justin says, well, I gained 40 pounds in that thing. And then Connor says, I gained 20 pounds my senior year. And I mean, I'm telling you, I had to leave. That's the stuff that really gets me. So in closing, that's what I'm doing over here. That's what I'm trying to do to help. And really, really proud to be able to make the donation to you tonight, this year, and next year. So thank you. I'm asking for my partner in crime here to come up.
You want just you, and then we jump in, or how you want to do that?
Yes, you do. Do you want to do those 3 first?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Okay.
Everybody one time there.
Sorry, not paying attention.
I'll stand in the back. Close up
I'm sorry.
Let me back. Talk down.
Why don't we slide the check down? Check, why don't you slide it over here, since I can look over your head.
Jump on me.
All right, cool. All right, thank you. So, Dr. Stevens and Holly, I wanted to be proud to present this check to you on behalf of our foundation and also the Mishawaka High School class of 1969.
Class of 1969. All right, very good.
Great.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We really appreciate it.
Taking it home. Well, I can't say enough how much we appreciate Tom and all of his generosity to School City of Mishawaka, and I am grateful that it is something that is deep in your heart and that you keep coming back for us. And I hope that we keep showing up and doing what you need to see from us to keep continuing growth and change and making Mishawaka better every year. So thank you very much. It's much appreciated, and we're grateful. So thank you. If you would like to go, this is your chance to run. Thank you again. Moving on to comments and questions from the floor. 4.01, representatives of Mishawaka Parent Group. 4.02, representatives of school employees. 4.03, representatives of Mishawaka Education Foundation, and Angie is speaking on behalf of MEF.
Thank you. Jane sends her regards. She also is appreciative that she can share news with you about the MEF and SCM partnerships. Today, we had an amazing luncheon that honored two of Mishawaka's best, Debbie Ladega Block and John Rogeman, and our 2023-24 MEF grant recipients. Thank you for everyone that attended today. The theme was red, white, and blue. As you can see, I'm still in mine. Many participated, but most importantly, today was a testament of how our community gathers to honor one of our own and how the community supports MEF causes. Now we're looking ahead to July 8th and the MEF Chip In for Education golf outing at Morris Park Country Club. We still have sponsorships, foursomes, and tea sponsorships available. This is a wonderful day to raise lots of money for SEM academic teams, fine arts, and athletics. Please spread the word. MEF free trunk or treat for over 3,000 children and families on October 5th, 2024 at MHS. Get your trunk and candy going now. Then, help MEF share 100 years of MHS on Saturday, October 26th, with attending the MEF 100 Year of MHS event and auction. You will not want to miss this interactive, fun, and historic evening. Are you ready to help? She says, please do. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie. 4.04, general public. Mr. Strawn.
Good evening, Madam President, trustees, Dr. Stevens, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Strawn. I reside and own property at 305 George Street in Mishawaka. I have no group affiliation. I have no children. I'm not an employee, retired annuitant, creditor, or vendor of the school city of Mishawaka. I wish to address the following agenda items this evening: 8.01, 9.01, 9.05, and 9.06. Plus, I have three general questions. Item 8.01, digital coach and learning grants. Three questions here. How much grant money was received? Question 2, when was the grant money received? And 3, what grade levels does school city intend to apply this grant money to? Item 9.01, approval of agreement with Family Broadcasting Corporation. 4 questions here. 1, what's the funding source for this proposed transaction? Question 2, were there any other for-profit mass media vendors solicited for this requirement? If so, how many and who were they? Question 3, were you provided any historical Nielsen ratings by either Family Broadcasting or any other recognized broadcasting industry source relative to either television viewership or radio listeners? Question 4, how confident are you that School City will be able to sell $33,333 worth of advertising sales in each of the 3 school years? And for the people in the audience and watching at home, that's what we have to generate in order to cover the base fee of $10,000 per year in each of the 3 contract years, because we share it at 30% in accordance with terms of the contract. Item 9.05, approval of one-to-one device refresh for the 24-25 school year. Question 1, how many devices do you intend to purchase? Question 2, what is the required delivery date for all devices? Question 3, of the $410,000 total cost, how much was the licensing fee? Item 9.06, approval of the Mishawaka High School Art Lab device refresh. 2 questions here. Question 1, rather. Who is the proposed awardee for these devices? Question 2, what is the required delivery date for all devices? I have 3 general questions. General question number 1, where can I review either a hard copy or an electronic copy of the interlocal purchasing system TIPS USA agreement mentioned in items 9.03 and 9.04? General question 2, what is the process or procedure to follow whenever a required course for graduation is canceled by School City of Mishawaka? How are the adverse effects of course cancellation mitigated or otherwise resolved in favor of the student? General question 3. Well, I saved the best for last, I think. What is a reasonably accurate estimate of the total cubic yards of new rock or stone used in the reconstruction of the Mishawaka High School football field? If cubic yard data is not available, then what is the estimated total weight of the newly placed rock or stone? And lastly, I would like to thank Mrs. Mann for supplying me the answers to the questions that I had asked back in May of this year. That concludes my comments for this evening. Madam President, thank you for your time.
Thank you. And hopefully throughout this agenda, we will be able to answer some of these questions. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. 5.01, approval of the minutes of the May 22nd, 2024 board meeting. It is recommended that the minutes of the May 22nd, 2024 board meeting be approved as presented. 5.02, approval of bill warrants and payroll. It is recommended that the board approve payments of bill warrants and payroll in the amounts of $5,687,275.75 from the appropriate funds. 5.03, approval of donations. It is recommended that the board approve donations as listed and documented. 5.04, approval of April 2024 financial report. It is recommended that the board approve April 2024 financial report as presented. 5.05, approval of the overnight and extended field trips. It is recommended that the board approve the overnight extended field trips as presented. 5.06, approval of the consent agenda. It is recommended that the Board of School Trustees approve the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 6, reports and discussion items. There is nothing. 7 is human resources. 7.01, personnel report. Mr. Laban.
Thank you, President Parks. Members of the board, this evening we're recommending the appointment of 8 certified positions for the 24-25 school year, as well as 5 extra duty assignments. You also see towards the end of the personnel report our summer school programming assignments, of which you'll see 34 certified positions and 19 classified positions for your approval this evening. As always, happy to answer any questions that the board may have, but it's recommended the Board of School Trustees approve of the personnel report dated June 12, 2024 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 8, curriculum instruction and technology. 8.01, digital coach and learning grants. Allison.
Do I have to do something? Good evening, President Parks, Dr. Stevens, and members of the board. I'm Allie Schlofelt, Curriculum Integration Coordinator, and I'm excited to share that the School City of Mishawaka was awarded both the Digital Coach and Digital Learning grants for the 24-25 school year by the Indiana Department of Education. These are competitive grants that offer the opportunity to lead and support work that is focused on appropriate practices for blended and virtual learning in the areas of universal design for learning, digital literacy, and artificial intelligence. We are one of the few districts who received the Coaches Grant 3 years in a row across the state. With the Digital Coach Grant, we will be awarded $3,628 for continued professional learning focused around universal design for learning. For the Digital Learning Grant, we will be awarded $34,327 for continued implementation of Amira, our AI reading tutor, and continued professional learning focused on digital literacy. We receive that money. These grants run from roughly July to July of each year. The Digital Coach Grant is a continuation of last year's grant. This past year, currently, we have 8 instructional coaches and myself working towards or have already completed Catlin Tucker's Universal Design for Learning online course. 3 of those 8 will attend CAST, a conference this July to continue that learning. And this Canoe Grant sends 3 more to a conference called FETC in January to continue the learning. So we are continuing our journey in the Universal Design for Learning. This current Digital Coach Grant serves K-12 learners. It's Universal Design for Learning, so we have everybody. It's K-12. The Digital Learning Grant will allow us to continue implementation of Amira, our K-12 or our K-6 reading tutor. This past year, SEM read 46.16 million words with Amira. It's crazy. I will also give a shout out to Liberty. They had the most minutes and the student who grew the most with Amira this year. You can see on that graph, I know it's really tiny, but it really just shows that grade 3 had the most practice minutes, with 4th grade following just a smidge behind. With this grant, we plan to continue that professional learning with the coaches and the teachers around digital literacy in the classrooms. We are looking forward to this work to support technology integration, learning for all, and closing the reading gap. At this time, I would like to close and open the floor for any questions or comments.
I'm pretty impressed, 3 years in a row. I mean, now the expectation is every year, forever, right?
Hopefully.
It's incredible, and you answered all of Dave's questions. Very well done.
I didn't know if I could like turn and wink at you or like what. No, I didn't know the rules.
Thank you again. Thanks for what you're doing, and thanks for bringing it to School City.
Yeah.
So, good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very nice job.
Thank you.
Moving on to business and operations, 9.01, approval of agreement with Family Broadcasting Corporation. Mr. Hubbard.
President Parks, Dr. Stevens, and school board members, thanks for having me back up here. You know, when I arrived at Mishawaka 7 years ago, we made it a priority to have a radio station at our varsity football and basketball games, and we found a media partner that was willing to work with us. We were first on an AM station, and then we moved over to a local FM station. The arrangement helped us not only give play-by-play for our student athletes, but it also helped us tell our story. It gave us professional voices for the Mishawaka network, and as the years have gone by, our teams have gotten better. The value of our product has increased, but unfortunately, so did the price of staying with that local business. In working with Dr. Stevens, we felt it was time to exercise our termination agreement with the former partner and search for a new radio home. After an extensive search and looking at all of our options with internet and radio groups in northern Indiana, we found a new home. It's with Family Broadcasting Corporation. You might know them for their TV product with WHME TV that hosts Friday night football games with Chuck Freeby, Angelo DiCarlo, and Bo Hunt. In the contract that we're presenting to the school board, we not only have a better financial agreement in the 3-year contract, but we're also expanding our reach by putting our games on 3 stations at the same time on most nights instead of just 1. Now, starting this fall, Mishawaka football and basketball will be on 103.1, 96.9 FM, and 92.1 Pulse FM simultaneously. The only time we won't be on 3 stations at the same time will be when IU football or Purdue football is on a Friday night, and that's going to happen 2 times this year. But we're still going to be on 2 stations simultaneously, so that could overlap as well with 103.1 being the primary station in basketball season. On those nights, those games will still be on 2 stations. It also gives us the opportunity to use our high school students from the Mishawaka network on broadcasts that we've done in the past. And not only are we going to be on 3 stations instead of 1, our fans will want to know who's going to do the play-by-play. As you know, Mishawaka softball coach Brian Miller, he's a veteran broadcaster. He's been on the air for us the past few years, and our fans have been treated to the best broadcast, no doubt, in the state of Indiana every Friday night. So we're bringing Brian with us to continue the coverage with the Cavemen. And he's going to be our point person with Family Broadcasting, not only as the on-air person, but he's going to be selling our commercials, sales, and building relationships with local clients. Mr. Miller is also eager to include students in the production as much as possible. And this was a huge piece to the puzzle because Brian Miller knows our school. He has passion for it. And when he's working with our students, and he's also working with our business clients and our partners in the area, we want somebody who believes in our product and that is going to be out there for us. We feel like this is a win-win for us in many ways. It keeps us on an air in a medium that our fans have been used to. We keep our trusted broadcaster and salesperson. We're able to help our students. We have a fair deal that allows us to not only have the best broadcast, but potentially we could make a profit in the future. In the deal, 40% revenue goes to Family Broadcasting. This is 40% of the revenue of sales of advertising. 30% of ad sales will go to our dedicated salesperson, which at this time is Mr. Miller. And as the Director of Development, I just want to make it clear that this is not an additional sales role for me, and so I won't be receiving any of the commission. The other 30% will come back to School City of Mishawaka, and that'll help pay for talent fees for Mr. Miller and our color commentator person, as well as mileage for those broadcasters to go to the away games. Now, you might notice one clause in the contract. It's number 10. It's known as additional assets. It states from time to time, Family Broadcasting may request access to additional sponsorable assets from SCM. SCM agrees to make every effort available to any and all assets that may be requested. One example could be broadcasting live on WHME TV. In the past, we haven't allowed other broadcasters to do their television broadcast live because selfishly, we wanted them to come to the games. We also wanted them to listen to our radio broadcast and more specifically watch our Mishawaka Network broadcast. In this partnership, for those few games when we're the game of the week, they would be allowed to do that. Another example could be, and we've not allowed people to put up banners in our facility, it could be that they're going to have a WHME banner while they do their television broadcast. Being a partner, we're going to allow them to do that a few times a year and put their banners up at our game. So tonight, I'd like to answer any questions that you might have and then ask for approval with the agreement of Family Broadcasting Corporation. And we have Mr. Miller here and also Angelo DiCarlo. And after the approval, and if you need to ask any questions of them, they'll be available as well.
Are there any questions?
Has he answered David's questions? Do you know?
Well, let's get that question answered.
Excuse me?
Hold on. David has some questions. So I don't know if you...
Did I answer the questions that you
answer
had?
You got to remember all the questions there.
I think those are probably questions you can deal with David,
Catch with
unless he
after the fact.
has an extra paper for
Yeah.
you.
I can say, we can catch up on those after the fact. I wouldn't lose sleep over that portion of it.
No.
We can get those squared away.
Okay.
Well, I think we're making a good decision, or we'll be making a good decision with Brian, because Brian is a big part of School City of Mishawaka, and we, it's family, and he's very good at his job. So I'm grateful that we have you. So if there is a motion, we'll move this.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Great. At this time, Brian and Angela, if you guys would like to say a few words. And I should let it be known also that all of our football games and postseason games will be on in football. And for basketball, we will have 22 games, and those could be boys basketball or girls basketball, and it could be a combination. And Mark Paulsgrove will work with Brian Miller just to figure out which games those will be. So.
Great.
Yes.
Good.
Hello, everybody. I'm Angelo DiCarlo from Family Broadcasting Corporation. I think Dean summed up a lot of what we do, but we've been in business for 45 years and been broadcasting high school sports on TV 46 for 35 years. I've only been there a year and a half, but being in town for 17 years, whether it was at WNDU and then at Redeemer Radio and now at WHME and Pulse FM, it's been really exciting to see being the home of high school sports in this area. And last year we expanded that a little bit with Pulse FM. We added a radio show, The Drive to the Game, that airs 6 o'clock on Friday nights to get people as they're driving to the games to listen and hear what's going on with high school football throughout the area that Chuck and I have the pleasure of hosting. So this is a great addition to that expansion. I've always had great admiration for the school city of Mishawaka and the athletics program. It's a wonderful school system, and we're really, really excited to have Mishawaka Cavemen football and basketball on our airwaves. And I echo Dean's comments about Brian Miller. I always love listening in on games when I'm driving home from our game, and always hearing Brian say, we turn the page to quarter number 4. So we're excited to turn the page to have Brian and Mishawaka football and basketball now on Pulse FM on our 3 radio signals. And in closing, I'd like to also congratulate Brian on being the District 2 Coach of the Year in softball after his outstanding season.
Thank you, Anj. I will also apologize, Dr. Stevens, the board, for my appearance. We just got to a softball camp and had 40 kids at camp this week, so it's been a scramble. But first of all, thank you for your support in my past years with Midwest Family and WSBT Group. I've dabbled off and on for many, many years doing high school sports, going back to the early 80s. And there's always been something special about Friday nights on the radio, whether you're doing football, basketball, to bring it home, because I grew up that kid with the pillow that had the radio underneath his pillow, listening to Cubs games or high school games or whatever the case is. So I hope that I can help the Mishawaka community make more memories with success in the football stadium, success on the basketball court. We have great products, and I think when you align high school sports with a media company, while many years I was loyal, almost 20 years to Midwest Family and WSBT Group, when you think high school sports, you think family broadcasting, you think 46, you think of Angelo, you think of Chuck, and I am thrilled to be partnering with them and as we move forward. I know that transition sometimes is, I guess, questioned, but I assure you that this partnership is going to be a winner, and I'm also excited the fact that they were willing to work with Dean and the school board on coming up with a way that the school can make some money off this too. And my previous employer, it was basically pretty cut and dried on how that went down, and I think this is a great opportunity as we move forward and so forth. So thank you for your support. I look forward to Friday nights. Not too soon, summer's fun, but, and my wife would agree with that. But thank you, and if anyone's got any questions, certainly Anj and I would be happy to answer your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you both. There she goes. They're sneaking out. Have a good night, guys. 9.02, approval of the service agreement with Relay Hub LLC, Relay for school-based Medicare billing. Mr. Johns.
Thank you, President Parks. I'll pinch hit for Mr. Johns. He had another conflict tonight. I apologize. So School City Mishawaka provides medically necessary health care services to eligible students under the Indiana Health Coverage Program. Relay will help provide direct claiming services in order to process the district's claims for the IHCP. Reimbursement for the direct medical services provided to Medicaid eligible students based upon data provided by Relay by the district. And as I said earlier in the work session, this contract tonight is a replacement contract that we had with another vendor, so it's simply a replacement. We've been billing for Medicaid eligible services for several years now, but we simply want to change vendors at this time. So happy to entertain questions that the board may have, but if there are none, we're recommending that you approve the agreement with Relay Hub LLC as presented.
Move for approval. Second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 9.03, approval of contract for masonry work at Patel Elementary School. Mr. Miskin.
Good evening, President Parks, Superintendent Stevens, ladies and gentlemen, Board of School Trustees. The Operations Department requests permission to enter into contract with CNS Masonry Restoration LLC for $183,750 for masonry repairs at Battelle Elementary School. If approved, the funding source will be from Bond Sale 22A. School City of Mishawaka is a member of the interlocal purchasing system TIPS USA. Using this cooperative agreement and the recommendation to use CNS Masonry eliminates the need for SCM to do a lengthy bid process. So with that, it's recommended that the Board of School Trustees approve the contract with CNS Masonry as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
I do-
9.04, approval of contract with masonry work for LaSalle Elementary. Mr. Miskin.
Okay, here we go again. Tom Irons giveth, I try to spendeth. Oh, wow, that was hard.
It's not fun.
I know.
For fun.
The one thing before I read this, Battelle, I will be coming back in July. I didn't have enough time. The masonry there will take care of the water infiltration, but the windows, there's 60% of them that are fogged. So I'll be bringing that back in July as just, this gets the project started and gets the water from coming in the building. But the windows are just, they've lost their seal, but the frames are good, just so you guys know. All right, so LaSalle. The Operations Department requests permission to enter into contract with Midland Engineering for LaSalle Masonry School. Midland will remove, install, and reseal the existing sheet metal coping cap. Midland will subcontract the masonry work with CNS Masonry. They will also subcontract the lightning protection work with Schnick Lightning Rod LLC. If approved, the total cost of the project will be $434,000, and the funding source will be from 2022A bond sale. The project is slated to be completed by the fall of 2024. The School City of Mishawaka is a member of the interlocal purchasing system TIPS USA. Using this cooperative agreement and the recommendation to use CNS Masonry eliminates the need for SCM to do a lengthy bid process. It is recommended that the Board of School Trustees approve the contract with Midland Engineering as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 9.05, approval of the 1.1 device refresh for 2024-2025 school year. Mr. Modlin.
Thank you, President Parks, members of the board, Dr. Stevens. It is time to refresh the devices already that we purchased in 2020. At the April 2024 board meeting, the Board of Trustees approved the application for the Common School Fund. The funds will be used to refresh those 1,200 student Chromebooks, including cases, a Google license, which is $30 per device, and that allows us to manage the applications and the settings on the Chromebooks remotely, as well as a 4-year support plan to cover an unlimited number of damages that were to happen to any of those computers. So once again, those were purchased in 2020. We're also going to purchase 35 touchscreen Chromebooks to support the curriculum for the Exceptional Learner Classroom at Mishawaka High School. So funding would be from the Spring 2024 Common School Fund, and if there are no questions, or I'm happy to answer any questions, but would recommend that we purchase the technology devices and 4-year support plan from K-12 Tech as presented.
Okay.
Move for approval.
Second.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 9.07, approval of the agreement with Gaggle. Mr. Modlin.
Thank you, President Parks. Gaggle is a safety management tool, sits on our Chromebooks. It offers a comprehensive student safety solution that goes beyond just traditional web filtering. It combines AI and human review of student activity on school-issued devices and accounts. Gaggle proactively identifies potential concerns around self-harm, violence, cyberbullying, and objectionable content. The early warning system, combined with a tip line, allows school staff to intervene and provide support before situations escalate. Since about beginning of April this past year, we've had a successful pilot program at John Young and Mishawaka High School, and has identified 15 potential student safety situations, 81 questionable content notifications, and in one case, school leadership and social workers were able to address those issues. In one case, they helped provide urgent support to a student in need by contacting local officials to do a well check on a student that we had. So funding would be from the Education Fund. Happy to answer any questions that the board has, but we would recommend that the board approve the agreement and services with Gaggle.
Move for approval.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Sorry, I skipped 9.06. Approval of Mishawaka High School Art Lab device refresh. Mr. Modlin.
Thank you, President Parks. The computers in room 251 at Mishawaka High School were originally purchased in the summer of 2017. Since then, the program has grown, and last year needed an additional computer lab that we were able to do with the Fall 2022 Common School Fund to replace those computers. And the 251 computer lab was pushed back 1 year. The state didn't do the Fall 2023 Common School Fund, or we would have done it then. So we were able to get that into operating referendum funds this spring here to be able to replace those computers. The department requested PCs for the refresh of this lab this time around to better support their program. We had quotes from 3 vendors for 30 PCs and 27-inch monitors to support that. So happy to answer any questions. We'd recommend that the board approve the purchase of the computer hardware from Office Depot for $51,000, $788.
Okay, so moved. Second. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Sorry for skipping.
No problem.
9.08 is approval for architectural firm for the Hums Elementary School project. Dr. Stevens, Mr. Miskin.
Thank you, President Parks. This is Mr. Miskin's dream to do a team.
That's right.
He's got backup.
Board agenda. So, as this board likely knows, we've been talking about Hums Elementary School and what our plan will be with that for some time. 5 architectural firms responded to our request for proposal earlier this spring for the design of a new Hums Elementary School. Then 4 of those firms were interviewed by our selection committee, which included 2 board members, several members of the high priority facility needs group, a few members of Hums Elementary, including the principal and a teacher, and a few other administrators as well. After those interviews were completed, the selection committee is recommending that we proceed with Hebert & Hebert Architects, LLC, as the primary architect for our project. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Miskin to say a little more, and then Hebert & Hebert will come up and provide some more information to the board.
President Parks, Dr. Stevens, ladies and gentlemen, Board of School Trustees, this is probably one of the greatest opportunities for School City of Mishawaka to build a new facility and to really give the community something to be really proud of. I mean, the other facilities are nice, but to go into the future with an up-to-date facility, I couldn't be prouder to be more than to be part of this project and lead it and do what's right for the community. We have in the audience Mr. Ken Hebert and Mr. Richard Hebert. They're from Hebert & Hebert Architects. And like Dr. Stevens has stated, the committee that we put together, I think it was well represented by everybody that he stated. I think that at the end, after interviewing all the firms that we went through, by far, they're a local firm. That was one of my top priorities, was to have somebody local. Everybody says you got to go to Indianapolis or you got to go to Cincinnati or somewhere like that. And there's nothing wrong with those firms. But, I'm all about, what can we do locally, right? So with that, I'll stop talking. They got a little presentation that they're going to do. And, one of the biggest things that, the collaboration, I've worked with a lot of architect firms over the years. And these two behind us, especially Richard, we did a significant project, without sounding biased, in South Bend that was huge. And he listens. It's just not, he's listening and then he does what he wants. They're passionate about what they do. And I just speak from the experience with that. And I think you'll really be happy at the end product. So with that, I'll let them come up and do their thing, and then we'll hopefully get a favorable recommendation.
Good evening, Dr. Stevens and President Parks and the Board of Trustees. I'm Ken Hebert, Richard's handing out the material. And is this our pointer?
Thank you.
So what we put together this evening, Dr. Stevens asked us to do a brief overview. And what we did is took some snapshots from our presentation materials during the interview process. Thank you. Works. So as Dr. Stevens and Steve indicated, we're Hubbard and Hubbard Architects, brothers. We've been in practice for 35 years together. And even before that, we had a paper route when we were 9 and 11. So we've been working a while together. But what's that?
We sure have.
Yeah. But we can't do these type of projects on our own. So we have assembled a team. Some of those are some local talent here that we've worked with in the past. Troyer Group, Frost Engineering. We've had relationships with these entities for 10 years plus. SCO Engineering, we've done a large amount of educational projects, 25 years plus. And Rotano, they're the premier food service consultant in the Indiana and multi-state market, part of our team. Just to let you know where our offices are, we are in downtown South Bend. We acquired an old historic building, the first skyscraper in northern Indiana, called the Tower Building. So we leveled buildings. We office in floors 1 and 2 in the tower, and we're trying to keep it up for the next generation. But Troyer Group's over in Mishawaka. Frost Engineering and Consulting is here in Mishawaka. Excuse me, Troyer Group is Mishawaka, it's up there. And then Hums, it gives you the location. We're about 8 minutes to drive time from our office to the Hums site. If we're fortunate to have this project, we will be making that trip a lot, and here in front of you as well. So a little bit of a brief background on our educational work. Primarily, we're K through 12 architects. A lot of work here locally. Some of the ones we won't showcase tonight, but I'm sure you're aware of Adams High School renovation. We're the architects for that. We've been working in this community 35 years. So I'll let Richard go through some of the highlights of our projects at Culver Academy.
Before that, just to touch on following up on some of the schools around the region, I'm sure you may not know of us, but you've probably been in some of our schools around the region. We've worked for the past 35 years in about a 2-hour radius of South Bend, Mishawaka. We've gone as far west as Kankakee Valley School District, worked with them, Michigan City, LaPorte, Southwestern Michigan, St. Joe High School, New Buffalo, Michigan, New Buffalo's new high school, onto the west, all the way over to Homer in Michigan. So we have a large portfolio of work, and one thing that we pride ourselves in is none of our work looks alike. We tailor our designs to the school district for the specific site contextually and for the programming issues in.
You say that, but all that Culver work looks really similar. So, but Culver wants it to look that way. Let's put it that way.
Well, so some of our recent volume of work is at Culver Academies. We've been there for probably 18 years. We pride ourselves with all of our clients in having a repeat clientele. And we helped Culver with a master plan, and then we've been implementing that master plan. As you know, their buildings are well over 120 years and counting, and they are basically replacing almost all of the residential district in the Culver campus. And we've been fortunate to design a new leadership center that has classrooms for their leadership program and conference room center. We've designed the new Roberts Barrack as the first start for some of the residential district. It's going to be a 10-year process. Basically, some are new, additional, so they can increase their enrollment. And then, next slide, we're working through the main barrack is finishing up this month. This is a $30 million project, which was the very first building on campus that the board directed us to make it historically the same. So we did that on the south facade, but they gave us some relief on the north.
How this actually relates to your school, I'm going to interject here, is these buildings are being built while school is still going on. Right on the campus with students going by it. We have to have all those trades and the safety and the security and the separation. So that's very similar to what's going on at Culver on a regular basis.
Major renovation projects like Adams High School in South Bend, we had to construct that wall they occupied. So,
you want to go back, don't you?
yeah, then we have North and East Barrack that we're going to be demoing this next month, and that will happen for 2 years. And then we've already built the Lordson, and then we have the South Barrack and the West, and on and on and on. So we have a legacy at Culver Academies. I don't know if the cavemen go down and compete with Culver Academies at all, but different level. But we just finished a stadium design for them that it's right next to their equestrian center, so it carries some of the character.
The other part of how that ties in with relationship here in Mishawaka is we're working with all the major trades in 3-hour radius of Mishawaka and have really good relationships with those trades. We know the good, the bad, and the ugly of the construction marketplace. So,
as well as the construction managers, that a lot of the projects today aren't like the general contracting before, where you have a general contractor that bids it all out. We actually assist in securing the construction managers for these projects and assist the districts. And so that's been key around the area and the region for our work.
So part of our interview process and the request for proposal response, we highlighted a couple projects, but we also tried to tie it into a conceptual design that we created. And this conceptual design we'll get into in a moment. Not to say that's how your school needs to look or will look, but it just, some of the things that we try to embed in every educational project. So we're going to click through a couple of these, and then when we walk you through the conceptual design, you can see how these spaces relate and in the built environment. Here, we try to layer the gym, the large group instruction area, a cafeteria, so they can all be used for large events. So you see in Lake Hills Elementary, Michigan City, this school's embedded in a old dune about, what, half a mile, not even, from Lake Michigan. And other parts you'll see in all of our school facilities is natural daylight, very efficient floor plans, so we can put more square footage into programs and more square footage into the curriculum needs of the school. So by layering these spaces that are multi-use, in some schools, we actually, the platform stage is the music room, because you don't use that stage for every event. Here we had a central lighthouse theme, because this is very close to the Lake Michigan, and the elementary had embraced the lighthouse as a symbol of school.
Another aspect of this particular design, it's Lake Hills in Michigan City. Daylighting is very important in school buildings. One thing that I think the current homes is lacking quite a bit.
The next school up, Marquette Montessori. This was the very first public Montessori in the state of Indiana. So we really kind of created a template here. Each of these classrooms have access to outdoor gardens. We're looking at that as a solution here for homes. The efficient floor plans, here again, we're layering the gymnasium. This stage is actually used as the music room. And the dining facility also doubles as seating. So here you can have the gym for multi-use. And then the key to the success of these spaces is the adequate storage for those chairs, tables, equipment, so it can disappear and come back when needed without having to be hauled too far. I'm going to turn it over to Richard here to talk about, we generated conceptual design, and please keep in mind this was more of an exercise to show the interview team how we thought, how we brought some of those program features into your space, and how we'd actually try to solve a new school while you still operate your existing school. We completely expect this conceptual design to change with the input of your team and your people that you're going to put on the design committee. Go ahead, Richard, why don't you talk through that?
So, as you know, the existing building sits right where that central parking area is.
I'm going to jump forward and then jump back.
Yeah. So, key to the success of this project is maximizing the site potential while keeping the existing school in operation. And so we thought through all those details, how to separate the construction activities from the existing school, because this is going to be a 2-year process, and you still need to be able to educate and function well, safely and securely. The aspect of context is critical in a school building design. You just can't put a standard school building that you might pull off the shelf. It's going to be custom to this site and configuration, the adjacencies of the neighborhoods, being contextually aware of the scale and sensitivity of that. And so that organization, being able to build this building and then demolish the existing building and build out all this, the rest of the balance of the site infrastructure for the parking and then the adjacencies to the current park.
Well, and also to try to make some of the material staging and so forth be utilized for future parking, future paving. So getting some of those improvements, double dipping if you will, we're getting them used during construction, and then they're ready to go for when they're freshened up for school.
So when we started the interview process, Mr. Miskin informed us we want a very solid building. We've got a lot of needs in the district, but we don't want a glass cathedral. We don't want we want a good, solid, practical school. And so we listen. Creativity doesn't have to cost a lot of money. We design our schools with solid, durable materials. Key to the success of this project is utilizing the existing site infrastructure that is there and then adding on to that. And some of the challenges that we read through from your feasibility study were the loop systems for all the parent drop-off pickup. And so we worked closely with our consultant partners, Troyer, in developing a plan that we can maximize on-site loop circulation, separating the traffic to special events and this end of the school from the parent drop-off loop at the front, and have calculated how many vehicles we can actually keep on site to maintain those vehicles out of the neighborhoods. Key to the design of a lot of our schools is understanding that your instructors have only so much time in a day, and the travel to the specials and travel to all the other aspects from their classrooms is critical. So designing a circulation system that reduces travel time and then thinking through the flow is critical. And as we work with the planning committee team, we'll refine that circulation system. The other key aspects from school design is the safety and security. We've got the system, the school organized so that it can be zoned off. We've got the administrative entry area with, of course, the secure vestibules system, but we can secure off all the educational areas here and here from the community areas. So we don't have people moving through the buildings at all hours. You can have community events, the facilities, toilet facilities, everything can function properly, all the storm shelters for that area.
And the other thing to think about is growth. This is going to be from what we understand, a new school that is in a growth part of your community. So if we do a good job, people are going to want to come to this school because it's going to be the best school in the area. So we've planned expansion into the concept. And whatever concept we end up doing, we will do the same and have the classroom components that can be added easily without being disruptive to the balance of the school. And in fact, part of our fee proposal is we've incorporated those expansions so you can get benefit of the bid day. What if we were to add these or shall or some portion of that work day one, and then you'd have that answered what those costs are, and then you can decide if you want to include those in the scope of work, or you're ready, shelf ready to go with those additions in the future when the enrollment makes it worthwhile.
Well, what's key in a building needing to be expandable is having the core facilities sized to support that extra 100 students. So right now, the program is for 500 student capacity, and with the classrooms that we're
I'll let you
showing
point
there.
which ones out there that burden
In the dark, we've designed this so that they can be added right into the classroom clusters, and the support core systems, the mechanical systems, everything will already be sized to be able to support that, and all the feeds right leading to those. So unlike if you wanted to add on and you had to add a wing, then those classrooms aren't close to their core group. So we'll be able to, this layout has lower L, upper L organized into classroom pod and then classroom clusters. We've also taken a close look at your exceptional learners. A lot of times they're not right positioned in the core. They are in the shared learning space to begin with. They don't get moved if you have extra flexible classrooms added. So it's key for inclusion to have that thought through in the beginning in the shared spaces.
And we did this through the interview process just so we took a little bit of a gamble, put some energy into it and effort so you can see how we think and how we work and what are some of the principles we find important in school design. And here's kind of a zoom in, some of those spaces we shared in other schools we've done here, where you have a platform layered with the dining, layered with the gym, operable walls, so when you have a school function, that Christmas play, whatever those events are, celebrations of wins from the sports teams, whatever the occasion is, we can expand that space and get multi-use out of those.
At the same time, they have that has a separate entry, public foyer, so that has a bit of a staging area, and it can be completely zoned off from the rest of the educational environment. From the kindergarten Head Start area, that pink zone would be all active circulation areas for large events and any after-hours events that you may have other boys and girls programs.
So just some aerial views to show, we're sympathetic to the neighborhood, the residential that borders this beautiful site. Our team members have taken a look at and understand the drainage issues very well and how we're going to accommodate that into the solution. Go ahead, Richard, you want to talk?
Some of the other key aspects, the way the classroom clusters are set up, we've got some outdoor learning areas. A lot of the key aspects of a great school design now are inside, outside, seeing the outside, being able to go out there and have some rain garden educational environments on the outside. They would be fenced in, so they're nice, secure zones, but yet the community can still come into the property and not cross over vehicular circulation with the way we've laid out the site. We know this is a marketing tool for the community, so we thought putting the big box spaces up close to the road, that we'd be able to also get some of that heavy, circulation vehicular to the south side and keep the students to the north side for all the playgrounds. Separation of students is key in a good school layout. We have outdoor kindergarten playgrounds, opportunity for expansion for the Head Start here, and outdoor hard surface playground right off the gym entry area.
That's just kind of a curb appeal look, but all of these things will be brought back and worked with a complete new design. It's a good tool to start talking with the committee on some of the planning principles and design concepts. We've put together a very aggressive schedule that we know we can keep, and it certainly has time allowed for interaction with the board, interaction with the community engagements planned into that. And one of the reasons we want to emphasize how important this schedule is, time is money. And we know there's a lot of large projects hitting our marketplace in the next 36 months. We'd like to see Hums Elementary School bid early in advance of some of those large-scale projects to get the best benefit of the construction marketplace. So on that, we'll conclude, and if there's any questions, be happy to entertain.
Are there any questions? No, I think it's been very thorough and very informative, so we appreciate the presentation.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Very good. Well, with that thought in mind, it's going to be recommended to the Board of School Trustees that we approve the letter of engagement with Hebard and Hebard LLC as presented.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Abstain.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yes,
Bill want to make
Bill-
sure that the record shows he abstained from that vote.
Very good. Thank you very much. 10, policy updates, 10.01, first reading of policy updates, volume 36, number 1, March 2024. Ms. Pettit, Dr. Stevens.
Good evening. Interrupting some excitement for the day after policies. Dr. Stevens has already talked about how they're just consolidating some. And just a couple more I wanted to bring to your attention. Policy 1520.08 and 3 more like it are about the employment of personnel for extracurricular activities. It has been revised to include sudden cardiac arrest training for coaches, for marching band leaders, and for drama or musical leaders, any sponsor of an extracurricular activity where there may be more of a cause for concern for cardiac arrest. So moving on, there's the next one, threatening and/or intimidating behavior towards staff. There are 3 policies stating how that needs to be reported to the principal. And last one I'm going to highlight is policy 5517 about bullying. There is now from a House, the HEA, from the HEA 1483. Thank you. There are timetables now for reporting bullying, and that needs to be done within 5 days of the incident. So are there any questions about these policies we're presenting tonight? Okay. So I will not be here for the second reading. So I want to say that I'll be turning the reins over to Ms. Heidi Peebles. She'll be here for you for the meeting in July. And I just want to thank everyone. It was an honor to work for the board and for Dr. Stevens, and I have very much appreciated my time here with you all.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
Heidi, make sure you bring your enthusiasm about policy updates. 11 is superintendent's report and action items. Dr. Stevens.
Thank you, President Parks. First thing I want to talk about a little bit is summer school. Now that the regular school year is over, we have immediately transitioned to summer school offerings. We're excited to offer summer school programming options for our students again this year. And one partnership that we have had and continue to grow with is the Boys and Girls Club. We've been fortunate to partner with them for summer school programming now for several years. This year, the Boys and Girls Club received a grant that allows for improved attendance and enhanced academic programming. But at this time, instead of just listening to me, I'll invite Dr. Stockstill to the podium to share additional information and answer any questions the board may have about our summer school programming and partnership with the Boys and Girls Club.
Thank you, Dr. Stevens. We have successfully launched our Summer Learning Lab in partnership with the Boys and Girls Club on Monday at Liberty and John Young. The program welcomed just about 400 students overall to this experience, which includes academics in the morning and then enriching experiences with the Boys and Girls Club, which could mean like field trips out in the community. We have assigned, first, a huge congratulations to our principals, our Boys and Girls Club staff, our teachers, our instructional assistants. This is an amazing feat to close school on Monday and then the next Monday open our doors to the summer program. But the students were quite excited and it ran very smooth overall. We have signed a new MOU with the Boys and Girls Club for this enhanced programming. The MOU has that Boys and Girls Clubs are providing the curriculum, materials, and employing the majority of our staff at these two locations. This represents significant savings in finances and in time, as well as enhanced employment opportunities for teachers. We're looking forward to a fun summer of learning, and I'm happy to answer any questions or turn it back over to Dr. Stevens.
Any questions? Thank you.
All right, and my next item is the kindergarten readiness. We're going to be offering a kindergarten kickstart program, which we believe will provide a smoother transition for kindergarten students into our school. And at this time, not only will I invite Dr. Stocksdale, but also Mrs. Amber Brew to the podium to share additional information and answer questions the board may have about the kindergarten kickstart program.
Thank you. So this year, for the first time, School City would like to offer Kindergarten Kickstart to all incoming kindergarten students. Our goal is to have enough students enroll that we can offer this program at all 7 of the elementary schools. We plan to model this Kickstart program after the successful warm-up camps that we've offered in the past. Our goal for Kickstart is to provide students with a jump start to their kindergarten year. A key component is to get students excited to start school and to give them the confidence that they are indeed ready to begin. By hosting a Kickstart at each school, we hope to give them a tour of the school to make them more comfortable so their first days at school won't be so overwhelming. We will work on teaching the expectations of school based off of an effective schedule. Students will practice how to listen and follow directions. Students will work cooperatively with other students in groups. They'll practice cutting and gluing, holding a pencil, coloring inside of the lines, identifying their name, and participating in stations and rotations effectively. They will listen to stories and predict answers about what they have heard, learn parts of a story, and engage in lots of different learning activities. Although the focus isn't on academics, students will certainly be exposed to letters, numbers, colors, shapes, and more. The second thing that we're hoping is another way to help them not feel overwhelmed is with the idea of school to start kindergarten students the first 3 days with dismissal after lunch. Our goal is to start slow and build rapport with the students without throwing them into all day, every day. We want to show them a glimpse of school. It'll allow us to start small and gradually get bigger. We plan to use the time after lunch when students are dismissed to work on our new kindergarten readiness assessment that has just been released. And Dr. Saxton will explain more about that readiness.
The Indiana Department of Education has released a new kindergarten readiness assessment. This will be required not this school year, but next school year for all incoming Indiana kindergarten students. We are going to opt in this year so we get a handle not only on the assessment, but we can also see the readiness of our students. The readiness assessment has a combination of direct answer items where students will do a performance task, but then there's also observation of the students for the first 6 weeks. So for the first few days, we will do some of those direct assessment questions so we can gauge where they're at and adjust classes appropriately to meet the needs of our students. The data will be highlighted on our GPS, the accountability dashboard. You'll see there is one pre-K to 2 metric, and this is the metric that they'll be reporting. I think it will also give our staff and our schools a better understanding about the individual readiness of our students. There'll be a report that parents get that gives them a comprehensive idea of where their students are at, how they came into kindergarten, and not only how the school can support them, but how the parents can support them at home with learning. At this time, I'm happy to answer any questions or turn it back over to Dr. Stevens.
Thank you.
All right. And really the last thing, thank you, Dr. Stockdale and Mrs. Brew, appreciate that information, that I have for the board is if you think of this board meeting in terms of context, it's fairly important. We haven't had a board meeting where you have a person presented that donated $100,000 to the board, and we also make a major decision in moving forward with what we're going to do with HUMS in terms of an architectural firm. So big moment in school city history for whoever watches school city history and keeps tabs of those things.
So we're going to talk to Tom Irons about funding the homeschool.
The homeschool.
You can talk to him about that by all means. But
I'm right on that.
yeah, but no, very very important meeting tonight in the grand scheme of things. We're certainly appreciative of all the individuals involved that make all this work, and of course, congratulations to Hebert and Hebert, and we're looking forward to working with you as well. And with that, President Parks, if there are no further questions, we turn it back over to you.
Okay. 12.01 is public announcements. The next meeting of School City of Mishawaka Board of School Trustees will be July the 10th, 2024, at the Ed Center. Before we adjourn, I would like to make two comments. Mr. Brew has left. Commencement was this past Sunday. I think that the level on the step up and the change, I think across the board has made the comments, is that it was a fabulous upgrade in our commencement ceremony. I think there was a lot of things done with a lot of class, and I would like for him to know that we are very proud of him and for stepping up, and the staff at Mishawaka High School. I would like to hope that our attendees could step it up a bit, but we'll see what we can do for next year.
I had made the comment that I thought that the message was very heartfelt. And I was very proud of the fact that Chad graduated with my daughter, and it was nice.
Yes.
Very nice.
The second comment is that we, going into the summer session, there's still a lot going on at the schools with summer school and PE and all the good stuff. So we thank you for putting in the hours over the summer vacations, and I know that board meetings can get a little long on Wednesday nights. So we appreciate you, we thank you, enjoy your summer days when you get them. We appreciate our presentation and Mr. Miskin's hard work. So with all of that, if there's nothing else, this meeting is adjourned.